Hi everyone, this video is going to break down what custom labels are inside Google Ads, how you can edit them, and some actual practical examples of different types of custom labels you can set up and use inside the ads account to properly segment and target your campaigns better based off your commercial goals, not just what Google Ads lets you do. So real quick, I'm Kieran. I'm a freelance Google Ads consultant, founder of Kiezo Growth. I partner with high OV brands, D2C brands in the UK, preferably spending over 25k a month inside the platform. And with the whole goal is trying to grow profitably. So with custom labels, real quick, they're a way of segmenting products. Everyone gets them inside Merchant Center. You can have 5 custom labels, and they help you they're completely arbitrary. You can set them to be whatever you want based off whatever criteria you want, and it can allow you to target your products better outside the default amount that Google gives you. Google gives you, I've just typed this into sort of AI mode, Google gives you item ID, which is quite a common one. You can then just choose which specific SKUs to target, which does not hold up well for a large catalog because there's hundreds, you might have 100,000. It's impossible and so time consuming to have to work out which ones to pause, which ones to activate, where to segment, where to push or pull. It just becomes an absolute minefield and a headache. Product type can work for smaller categories and product catalogs as well. But again, when you have variances within a category, such as like in this example, running shoes, you might have high margin running shoes, low margin running shoes. If you group them all together into one product type, you then still have to split them out further because of the margin bands, and or even sales velocity and top performers. Product type works well if a product has a similar sort of sales velocity, stock count, or margin band, but there's still weaknesses within that. So it can work for smaller businesses, but again, when you start to grow, these different types of problems come up. It also makes segmenting in the account with product types a little bit problematic, just like with item ID. So then you see custom labels. Everyone gets them in the ads account. Get up to 5, and you can have, they're completely arbitrary. You set them however you want, and you can then choose to segment products however you want this way. This is why we use custom labels. It's better enhanced targeting. It's up to you. It can align to your commercial goals. So this video is going to break down real quick how we can set those values and then what could those values look like. So a lot of people stop here. They just go, oh, I'll just stop at product type, or I know what a custom label is, and they set it once and forget about it. But this video is going to go a little bit further. So these are 5 examples of custom label types we can create. You can create anything you want, but these are the ones I find cover most bases that a business would want to look at, and allows you to then segment your campaigns accordingly. So you don't have to set them like this. You can set them to whatever you want. You can create different combinations of these. You can just completely disregard it. But these are the 5 that I think work quite well. So, and it's split across 1 per label. So number 1, new versus existing stock. You would typically want to separate out your new stock from your BAU stock. If you're a fashion brand, your new season should not sit in the same campaign or asset group or ad group as your existing season, because it doesn't have the learnings that the BAU stock does. It's going to take time to build up to gain market share. It's going to be weaker in performance typically, so you need to segment it out. Don't decay and weaken the performance of your main campaign with this with these SKUs just because it's easier to manage in one go because they're all dresses. It doesn't work like that. You need to split them out. So new versus existing stock can work quite well as a custom label. You can then just have obviously, depending on how you set up, you can have a new campaign just for the new arrivals, and then once they've bed in with more performance data, shift them into BAU. Number 2 is performance-based bucketing. This can be based off of in-platform or back-end performance, depending on how you want to do it. In-platform is easier because you can pull all of the columns out of Google Ads into a Google Sheets. With a Google Ads script, you can just set it to run every day. Just pull out per SKU what is the top-line performance or ROAS, and then you can segment that way. It's super handy, but then it comes with a limitation of not knowing break-even margins, new customer acquisition costs. It gets a little bit too easy and a bit too rose-tinted. So the alternative is you can do performance-based bucketing with your back-end data and look at what contribution margin was per SKU, and then push it back into the system that way. So custom labels based off performance-based bucketing is always a solid idea. Outside of that, you could also look at SKU roles. Not every SKU has to make you profit or it has to drive revenue. Some solely exist to free up cash flow. It might be old stock in a warehouse. It could be a new launch like we touched about in the first example. But just labeling them, or even just labeling a category type of SKU, So all of your sofas or all of your trainers could be a profit driving SKU, and stock over 90 days could just be a cash flow job. That just helps, it makes things a lot easier and clearer to you as well, where you're spending money, what the percentage is, and does it actually support the goals of the business for this time period. Number four, as I mentioned, about stock and cash flow, age of stock. It can be, especially when you buy stock in advance, you're going to want to know that you want to know how much stock you've got left based on how long it's been in there as well. Older stock, it's more inventory pressure piling up. It's also more pressure on your cash flow. You want to be able to see how old the stock is in Google Ads that you're pushing ad spend behind. If you need to clear up stock, having that 90-day plus label, for example, is super helpful. Segment the SKUs by 90 plus days for stock age, push the spend through in that campaign, segment it out, and then the job there is cash recovery. So you're not going to go for profit. And then number five, margin tier and price point. This is what I've decided to combine. Sometimes your performance-based bucketing works well, but you've got different margins or price points. So what you can do is you can create custom combinations of these at all. It doesn't have to be margin tier and price point. It could be SKU role and age of stock. But this is just a really cool way of just going, yep, we're going to target this specific price point with this specific margin because it's the right combination of high AOV for top line revenue and margin. And then you can create various different combinations. It could be old stock, low margin, or it could be a middle ground for both of them. It's however you want to split it. But these are just five examples of how you can create custom labels that actually reflect the business, and you're not just limited to category or ID. They're just a little bit more creative and serve your business needs a lot better. So now we know how you can segment campaigns in Google Ads. We can use custom labels. There's the five examples. How do you actually implement them? Number one, if you're a small retailer and you have a lot of SKUs and things to be quite static, you can just use Merchant Center. You can overwrite default values in there. Just know that it's permanent. You then have to sort of consecutively overwrite it. So for small little tweaks, this can work, but generally speaking, I would not use that. I would use either a supplemental feed via Google Sheets, which is just a Google Sheet you connect up to Merchant Center, and in that Google Sheet you overwrite values. So the raw feed data stays the same, but you can then overwrite with new attributes as well. So you could add in an overwrite in the Google Sheet that says for all of these SKUs, the custom label value becomes this, and you could refresh that every day. So then that way, that refresh job goes straight into Merchant Center. The raw data stays untouched, but your sheet is updating every day. Your custom label values update every day, straight into Google Ads. It keeps the data nice and clean and separate. That works really well for a lot of retailers. The only thing is sometimes when you have over 1,000 SKUs, it just gets too complicated, and the file itself becomes a problem with Google Sheets. That's when you need to use a feed management tool. I've used Feedonomics in the past. I'd recommend any of these three here: Feedonomics, DataWatch, Channable. They're all very, very solid providers. Essentially, they're just platforms that ingest your raw data and allow you to create if X, then Y rules, and then that transforms the data and spits it out to Merchant Center. So it's a go between your raw data and Merchant Center, transform it however you want. This is where your custom label rules that we've come up with up here can come in. You can literally create these rules, say custom label 4 equals age of stock, and then you can connect up your your stock systems to then create those rules as well. Same, you can also integrate in your ads account data. You can also integrate your margin data as well. Any G Sheet data as well can connect up into these platforms. So any business data you've got, if you don't have a direct API with these platforms, you can create Google Sheets and just ingest them that way. So this way, all the business data you need can go straight into the management tool. You then create these rules that say if stock is older than 30 days, custom label equals this. If margin is this, custom label is this, and it just spits it straight back out into Merchant Center. So it becomes a really, really helpful way of just managing your entire catalog at scale. The trade-off here is obviously Google Sheets for supplemental feeds is free. These tools will cost you several thousand every single year. It could be over 20,000 quite easily, depending on the service level you get and the size of your catalog. But this is the approach in total, guys. What is a custom label? Why we should use it over just the standard different segmentation types, 5 examples, and then how do we actually use these custom labels and push them into Merchant Center, into Google Ads. Any questions, let me know. Details in the description. Cheers.